Wow, it was crazy drama for Manchester United. Now, in beating Brentford the way they did, they set a new Premier League record. Now, Man United, in doing that, became the first team in the history of the Premier League to be losing a game at 90 minutes and then still go on to win. So usually, like I said earlier, if United will do a comeback, it is before 90 minutes. Or most teams will do comebacks before 90 minutes. But United were the first team to be losing at 90 minutes and still go on to win a game by whatever margin it is. Chris, we watched that game. It was crazy. It was emotional. But when the emotion died down, there were things to pick out. So let's run through the first thing. How did Man United get themselves into a ditch and they had to dig themselves out of it?
Okay, so it was clearly unnecessary because if you look at the form the team has been in of late, things have not been going on well. So if you're a manager, you want your well-established players, your very experienced players, those who've seen it all, those who are used to coming back from such downtrend to stamp the authority and go and dominate. So United, when the game started, were doing absolutely fine. For the first time, we have Amrabat and Casemiro starting in midfield. I think that gave them a solid shape. Burnley had a game plan.
Brentford
had a game plan. They went 5 at the back and then
three in the middle,
then 2
up
up front. So that meant that at any time Amrabat and Casemiro will have to be doing this. One of them will have to commit and the other will have to sit to make it a 3v2 defensively with John Evans and Harry Maguire. And usually it was Amrabat who was in that position because Casemiro provide a Jenny goal threat going forward. So it was a set piece for United. All Casemiro needed to do was to calm down. In haste to pick up Amrabat, he gave the ball away. Instead of winning the tackle, he went in to retrieve the ball, but he couldn't do so. And then Burnley went on, and there were comedies of errors. I think starting from Casemiro, and then of course Lindelof, who had the ball presented to him. All he needed to do was to sort out his foot and then clear the ball. He didn't do that. And then Onana, you may argue that he saw the ball a bit late. And if you look at his body orientation, he was going left. He had to adjust and go down and make the save. But if you look at the replay, it was a save he should have made. These things do happen. He's going to come good. But one thing that I like about Onana is that despite the mistakes he's made in his early Man United career, he doesn't allow it to get to him. He will still keep doing the things he's been brought to do, playing from the back, encouraging the players, distributing the ball very well. So in that second half, I think the coaches needed to respond to whatever Brentford was doing because they knew that they had something to protect. They had an advantage. And if you go back a week earlier, when United played against Crystal Palace, it was the same shape that Crystal Palace had once they took that lead. Go 5 across, 4 in fact, bring every 10 men behind the ball and make sure you see what Man United would do. In that case, United couldn't break them down. But Ten Hag boldness to again substitute Marcus Rashford. And then before the commencement,
that change quite early in the second half.
Yeah. Before the commencement of the second half, he took off Carlos Casemiro, brought on Eriksen because now you needed the more creative guys, the guys who have the ability to pick the passes in very tight, compact situations. So that was a positive change. And as the game went on, I kept calling for Garnacho. He got introduced. It's time to introduce Anthony Martial. He got introduced because at that moment, you needed players who could pick the ball and then create space from their own technical ability. And I was so impressed by Amrabat because he tends to control the tempo of the game. He wins it. When there's no space there, he turns, he goes, he receives it, gives it there. That is the sort of control you want from your midfielder. The team continued to persevere. And I was happy that Eric Ten Hag stood on the bench and kept driving them. There were moments where he was asking
it was very late in the game.
Guys, they are doing everything practically, tactically possible. So you need to drive them on. And when McTominay was introduced, you and myself were doing the game on radio and we were watching the game together. And I was like, what is he going to do? I think the best thing to do is to throw him up there and commit or put more men in the box, which he did. And look, Garnacho is very young, but the bravery in that young man, he always fancies himself in the 1v1s. And if you look at how he was able to, he had 2 players on him. For him to have 10 onto his left foot, prevented the ball from going out, doing that cross. And well, what was Dalo doing in the box at that time? It tells you about it. And one thing that needs to be very much highlighted is the fact that when McTominay equalized, the team didn't jubilate. Quickly, Rashma Holland went for the ball and then brought it back. You could see every United player coming back. They knew the clock. They had just 2 minutes. But they believe, you see, this is the United of old. I'm not going to sit here to blow their trumpet.
Yeah.
But if there's anything in the Premiership accustomed or used to doing such things, it's Man United. So for them to have restarted the game or compelled Brentford to restart the game just after equalizing in the 90-something minute tells you that they knew they could win.
So the equalizer came in the 93rd minute.
In the 93rd minute. And I think, well, it was 6 minutes, 7 minutes stoppage or injury time added on. They kept going and eventually it paid off. You wouldn't expect every game to go like this every week. Again, like I did say, if it was a very good quality Man City, Arsenal team, you are not going to come back. Brentford, from losing positions, I think they've lost the most games.
Yeah, they've lost
from winning positions,
they've lost the most points.
They've lost the most points. So I think in the game too, they started jubilating too early.
Okay.
We watched the game together. There was a tackle that a defender put in on the
got
90th
a goal kick,
minute,
he got a
and he
goal
was
kick.
jubilating. Look, when you do that, you send the wrong signal to everybody that the job is complete or the job is done. They are not coming back. So you could clear the very first time. They are, I've forgotten the name, the black guy at the back.
Pinnock.
That was the only time he lost his marker, and they paid for it. Were they in the jubilant mood? Did they jubilate too early? But luck. You have to ride your luck to end.
You have to make your luck.
You make it to end it. And
Just a quick note before I get to Edwin. Is this redemption time for Harry Maguire?
No. Look, he's never been good enough. He's never been good enough. He will never be good enough. I think he's a good player, but not of the. You see, the competition in the league, those setting the pace. Look at Saliba today. Who will come there? Will Maguire? If you get Saliba, he walks straight into the United team. Agree? That is the standard. Maguire don't dislodge anybody in Arsenal, not in Liverpool, not in Man City, not in Spurs. Look at the teams who came for him. West Ham, that is his level. Occasionally he may put up some good performance, but the consistency required to play for United, Liverpool, Man City, Arsenal, because of the nature of the competition, you need to look beyond Harry Maguire. Look, I've always admired Rafael Varane. I think when he's fit, he's one of the best in the. But if you look at the manner in which he's beginning to get injured, as a team, you should begin to look beyond him. So I'm expecting that Eric Ten Hag will take note of that. Okay. No wonder he wanted to bring in a centre back because he knew of the very fragile situation of Rafael. Unfortunately, Martinez too is out for the next 3 months. He'll come somewhere in January. So it's a chance for Maguire to prove himself. And after the international break, it's shuffled, United. Then after that, it's Man City.
Man City. We'll see about that. Edwin, just quick thoughts on Brentford. This must sting really badly, where you lead into injury time, you throw it away. But the stats tell us that it is in their nature to do such things, give leads away or give points away when they are in an advantageous position. It is, and it's something they need to look at. We go back to the fact that they don't have their main striker there, Ivan Toney. So they can't be as explosive as they used to be. They still have Wissa, they still have Mbeumo, who are very good options going forward. But there's just something about Brentford that's not looking right. They don't have that mentality to stay in games. As coach said, they celebrated way too early in this game, which sent a huge bad signal throughout the team that the job was done. But you have to give United credit. For as long as I've watched Manchester United, they're a team that knows how to come back from a goal down. They're a team that doesn't give up. We don't see that enough recently, but this was something that was apparent from the 2000s, the late 90s, or going up to the late 2010s.
So it's good to see that there's some aspects of that that has stayed with the players. McTominay talked about how from 5 years old he's been at the club. He was always taught that United, you are going to win. You have to win. You can come back. You don't give up as a United player. And we've seen that again. But one thing that concerns me, I hope it doesn't give them a false sense of security. We've seen a lot of times where United and Ten Hag have got false sense of security. That first win against Wolves, they won it, but everyone seems to forget that they were very poor in that game. They only took the 3 points. That's what everyone talked about. They were very poor in that game. The win over Crystal Palace in the League Cup, it gave them a false sense of security going into the league match against Crystal Palace in terms of tactics, in terms of how they approached the game. It didn't work out. I hope this doesn't do the same, because they were very poor before that comeback. They need to work out a few things. Rashford, I don't know, his time in the starting lineup might be coming to an end, given how Ten Hag doesn't seem to trust him when it comes to the critical part of the pitch. But there are other players in the team who need to shape up. I feel Mason Mount is a quality player, but we've not seen the best of him at United. Whether we are going to see the best of Amrabat and Casemiro in that central midfield partnership is another thing. There are so many issues in the defense to need solving, and goalkeeper Onana,
he'll come good.
He'll come good, but it needs to be quick. United are a team that needs to be challenging for top 4 European places, and you need your goalkeeper to be on best form. Right now, he isn't. He needs to step up.
All right, we'll see if things will turn for the better for Manchester United.